if you just judge by sort of the coverage of your contractual status these last couple of months, you were a hotshot free agent. I mean, it was you and Aaron Rodgers basically getting all the coverage the last couple of months here.
Yeah.
Did you do you think you ever came close to leaving ESPN?
I think yes, I came close to very seriously entertaining other places. I think what I've learned is I do myself a disservice if I don't. And I learned this a little bit. It's from, the playing days of, and my wife always would say this to me. In my playing days, there was an element where I was like the nice guy, so I would go to a team or stay with a team because, the team wanted me there type of thing, maybe not taking a different opportunity and just trying to be conscious of that and making sure. Dude, and I said this to my reps at CAA, like and everyone works hard, I work my absolute freaking tail off, for 6 or 7 years now to get to that point of this summer. And I didn't want to make a decision just cause or emotionally or in the moment. And so, yeah, I tried to take my time and be very conscious of it and, open-minded to every element or opportunity. And so there was a lot of really, really deep conversations had with, myself and my wife and our kids and other places and, coaching of, okay, what is and it's not necessarily next step for 2025, 26. It's like, what would be the next step for 5 years from now, 7 years from now? And so I worked really hard. I'm very proud to say that it's a trademark of kind of who I am. And I wanted to, for a lack of better term, take advantage of that.
Yeah. There was a report, I believe it was Marchand from The Athletic, who has all this information about there was an offer maybe from CBS to do college football. And, I don't know how much you want to get into, but I would have been surprised to see you leave the NFL completely. Did you consider leaving the NFL to do college? What was the deal with that?
No. So one, the guys at CBS, I absolutely love. I absolutely love those guys. They're great to sit with. I've played golf with Ross Malloy. David Burson was unreal to me. We have a great meeting. Again, I walk away from some of those meetings when you spend time with folks, you're like, they're just such good people. And, the opportunity, what CBS was basically going to be all encompassing. It wasn't going to be just a college opportunity. There was going to be maybe not like that day, but in the future, whether it was a month from then, 6 months from them, a year from then, it was going to be an all encompassing opportunity. And that was really enticing. And so, I don't have anything and that's sometimes what makes it hard for me is you sit there and I grew up team sports, Jimmy. I always say this. So I'm always team, who I'm with. And while they're your bosses, you're with them in my perspective. And so, it made it a difficult thing in kind of like the spring part of the calendar to sit there and go, this is an awesome opportunity to be with awesome people in a great place. But right now, that's not kind of where my heart and or head is at. And so I was never going to leave the NFL. No, I don't foresee that being a thing of mine in the immediate future.
Yeah. So ultimately, what makes you sign on the dotted line with ESPN?
I think number one, it goes back to, and this is just me being straight candid. There's a lot of narratives about ESPN outside of ESPN. Mm-hmm. And I'll be completely candid. There are parts of ESPN that are somewhat like individualized feeling and silo feeling because it's such a massive place with so many employees and so many different shows. There is some of that reality. But my experience with ESPN is like, it does feel team centric. It always has for 99.9% of my experience. And so it goes back to like, I love being on a team. I love being on a team. I love, getting up and getting into the production meeting with Get Up and Greeny and, the producers and figuring out how they want to do that show on a Monday morning after Sunday football. And then the opportunity to go to do First Take and being on that team in that moment, and then going to be able to do Sports Centers and that team, and then going to do NFL Live and being a part of that team. Like, I love being on that team right now. And I didn't want to leave that right now. I think the second thing is, dude, last week, I live in Westport, Connecticut. Last week, I'm at the fireworks show at the beach. We have a beach in town. At the beach, they do a massive fireworks show at night. I'm sitting there. Jimmy Pitaro walks by me, and I'm talking with Jimmy Pitaro, who's the president. I think I could be getting the label wrong, but the president of ESPN, for 15 minutes. And we're just talking. And that happens often. Jimmy lives in town. So like Jimmy's my boss, but like I feel like I have a personal friendship with Jimmy that we just talk about his kids and, the fact that his daughter's a lifeguard at the beach. And so, I'm always going to have that. I feel allegiance to certain people. So that, Burke, Magnus, I play golf with Burke, and I feel like Burke's become like a friend. He's my boss. Mm-hmm. And so I think there is a part of it with those two guys specifically where like, there's an allegiance, there's a gratitude, and that plays its part. And so it's that I still believe that ESPN is the king of the kings. It's the king of the castle. I was in Nashville a couple weeks ago. I'm at the bars at Nashville. ESPN's on every television. And so that still is value to me. We're just coming off NFL Live winning an Emmy. I didn't necessarily now want to leave that, and so there's a lot of reasons. And I believe I have unfinished business at ESPN. While I feel like I've been there 6 or 7 years, I'm just getting started at ESPN. And so, there was a lot of different reasons, but they all kind of led me to ESPN, or back to ESPN.
And basically your role and what you do is going to be the same shows, Get Up and First Take and NFL Live, Monday Night Football when they have the double headers. I know they're not technically whatever they call them.
Yeah.
But that basically everything stays the same for you then. Yeah,
for the most part, I do think that there's one or two other things that are probably going to happen. I don't know if they're official yet, and I probably can't comment on all of them, but I do believe that there's probably one or two more things that could be a part of the, a part of the rule.
Let me guess, you're going to have a podcast.
I think there's one or two things that could be potentially part of it.
I mean, you don't have one, so naturally you have to have one if you're in sports media. I mean, what are you doing, Dan? How do you not have one?
Football season, the 7.5 minutes that I'm not working per week.
Yeah.
So I think there's stuff that might be, down the line.
Yeah. All right. And how many years will we have you on ESPN?
I re-signed for 4 more years.
Do you obviously you just signed, you have 4 years left, but you do the Monday night games when there's a doubleheader. Is being a full-time analyst calling games a goal, or what you have satisfies you now?
I'm never satisfied. So, there's a reality that, the opportunities that are in front of you are the opportunities that are in front of you. At the end of the day, I very much so want to be calling one of the most important football games weekly.
You and Greg Olsen can have like a little buddy thing going on because you're both blocked by, he's blocked by Brady, you're blocked by Aikman.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's just that reality. I'm only 41 years old. I turned 42 next month. And there's an advantage for me, and this is something that I often say to people in the street that see me, and they're like, oh my gosh, you work so much. And my response is always, yes, but I'm from Connecticut where ESPN is. I live in Connecticut where ESPN is. My wife's from Philly, which is 2 hours away. So while I'm crazy busy during the season, I'm home every morning and every night just about, where a lot of the people that I work with, they're on a plane. And they're in a hotel room for 2 or 3 nights a week. And so, that isn't a hidden advantage of mine.